You're not saying, I don't know, because you're confused. You're saying it because the truth would cost you the life that you're still pretending you want. And today we're going to talk about why you keep overthinking and what you're actually avoiding. Let's get into it. All right, can you relate to this? You replay every conversation in your head a million times. What did she say? What was she thinking? What should I have said? Did I offend her? Do I need to apologize? Did she really understand? Did he get it? How about this one? You ask 10 people for advice before you take any kind of action. You ask your best friend, you ask your partner, you ask your mother, you ask the woman at the grocery store. You're constantly outsourcing your wisdom, or you watch 50 TikToks about it before you do anything, and you're still stuck. You're still stuck in overthinking, analysis paralysis, and thinking that you need more information and more clarity before you do anything. Because obviously, I believe in podcasts. You're listening to one right now. And obviously, I believe in books. Go buy my book, The Selfish Year, right? But that is not where it ends. Because what I'm giving you today and what I'm giving you in my book is information, valuable information. But if that doesn't translate into action, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. And at some point, we have to stop calling this confusion and start calling it what it really is. Because overthinking is not a clarity problem. You are not overthinking because you don't have clarity. And I want you to let that sink in because it's easy to say, I'm overthinking because I need to make a decision and I don't know what to do. But your brain can talk you into and out of anything. You know that. And so overthinking isn't a way of getting clarity because if it was, it would work. But it doesn't work. It leaves you frustrated and even more confused. Overthinking is actually a protection strategy because think about it. What are you avoiding? What are you avoiding that you keep thinking about? Is it losing a relationship? Are you avoiding potentially being judged by other people? Are you avoiding making the wrong move? Like, what if I make a mistake? What if I do this and it doesn't work out? What if I'm making the wrong decision? What if you're avoiding having to get uncomfortable or outgrowing the person that you've been that feels very familiar? You know, I was talking in the Phoenix with the ladies this morning, and we were talking about this, about clarity and overthinking. And one of the ladies said something really profound. She said, I've created a lot of peace in my life and calmness in my life. And that's amazing. But then all of a sudden, I start procrastinating on all of these things I have to do, and it's creating stress. And she said, on some level, I think I'm addicted to stress, and I keep sabotaging myself by creating stress for myself. And I'm like, bingo, nailed it. You aren't avoiding taking action. You are addicted to stress and chaos. And as soon as your life calms down, you find subconsciously a way to create more stress and chaos for yourself. You are stuck in that loop of addiction to stress. And so we talked about what's really underneath the procrastination, because it's not a procrastination problem. That is the surface level symptom. And if all you do is try to solve the surface level symptom, you will stay stuck in those loops and you'll never get to the real issue that will create real lasting shifts and changes and transformation. I can give you a strategy to stop procrastinating. Is that going to change the fact that you are addicted to stress and subconsciously your nervous system and your brain are continuing to create stress because that's the familiar pattern? No, because your brain doesn't care how it feels. Your brain doesn't care if that stressful pattern creates chaos in your life. All your brain cares about is familiarity because familiarity is safety to the brain. So let's go back to that old pattern and create it again because it's familiar. And before you know it, you're dragged right back into whatever it is, procrastination, overthinking, not speaking up. So when you think of the symptom in your life, stop trying to solve the symptom. More information is not going to change this loop, this pattern that you're stuck in. We must get below that into what's really going on. So, like I said, looking for clarity and overthinking is not going to get you where you want to go. We have to look deeper than that. So, what are you avoiding? What is it that you don't want to sit with or get into or risk that overthinking is protecting you from? Because the overthinking is a protection strategy, like I said. And it's not that you don't know what to do. It's not that you don't know what you really want or don't want. You do know. The overthinking isn't getting you there. You know in your soul what you need to do or what you really desire or what you're no longer willing to tolerate. You know, I always say this to my clients when they show up on a call and they say, like, I don't know what I want or I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I always say, yeah, you do know. And they kind of look at me like, no, I just told you I don't. And I'm like, yes, you do know. You know the answers. You don't have to outsource your wisdom. You just have to connect to it. So the issue isn't that you don't know. And if you got on a call with me today and said that to me, in 15 minutes, I would get you to the I know place. Because the issue isn't that you don't know, it's that you don't trust yourself to handle what happens next. Because once you acknowledge that you know your truth, now you can't unknow it. You can't unsee it. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You can't unring that bell. So now you're responsible for doing something about it. Otherwise, you have to sit in the knowing and watch yourself not showing up for yourself. It was so funny. I had a client the other day and she got on a call. She's in the breakthrough program with me where I solve one problem in 6 sessions. And she gets on one of the calls. I think it was like her third call. And she says, basically, I'm shitting my pants every time I get on a call with you. And I was like, okay, what do you mean? And she's like, because I know that you're going to see me. You're going to call me out on my bullshit. You're not going to let me get away with my patterns and the way that I hide from myself. And she's like, I need that. I want that. But I'm also kind of shitting my pants because I know that you're going to call me out on that. And she said, you know, we've created this safe space where we can do that. But she knows she needs that, right? Because she knows she's running from herself in some way. And on that very call, we got to what was under her loops. She was caught in a loop of freaking out and collapsing every time life went sideways. And she didn't want to do that. And so she started to see that that was the loop she was stuck in, is if I freak out and collapse every time life goes sideways, I don't have to show up bigger for myself or others, and I get to be taken care of. And it was keeping her in a smaller level of power. And so very quickly she realized, oh, hang on a second. It's because I don't believe I'm safe. And if I'm not safe, then I can't show up when life goes sideways. I have to freak out and collapse. And that's where we found the truth. This wasn't a freaking out problem. This wasn't a you need to meditate and journal and do breath work, although all of that is lovely. The real issue was she didn't feel safe. And so once we were able to shift her identity into I already am safe, what does that look like? How would that feel? And what if I'm already safe? And this is all just my patterns that my mind and body have been addicted to because of the way that she grew up and the chaos in her life. What if I am safe? And I'll tell you something. Nothing in her life changed. There was still shit going on in her life, but everything changed because she changed. Everything changed because she changed, and now everything looked different and felt different, even though nothing had changed. And this is the key. You have to change yourself, your inner systems. We talked about that on the last episode. The mind, body, mythos, systems inside of you have to change to align with the truth of your soul. And if not, you will be in these loops of self-protection. But once you align your inner systems, you are different. How you see your life is different. It's like looking in a mirror and you're frowning and you are hoping to see your reflection smiling at you. And you're mad because you're like, why isn't my reflection smiling at me? I want my reflection to smile at me first and then I'll smile. You'll be waiting your whole life for that to happen. It's obvious. Then once you finally give in and you're like, okay, fine, I'll smile first. Hey, look, my reflection is smiling at me. It's the same thing. If you are looking at your life and overthinking and overanalyzing and waiting for clarity and waiting for the stars to align and everything to fix itself before you show up in your life, happy, free, excited, powerful, responsible, making big moves, making things happen, you'll be waiting forever. Instead, shift the inside, and then your life will have no choice but to start to rearrange itself to become the reflection of your thoughts, your emotion, your energy, your focus, your actions, where you spend your time, where you invest your money, how you feel every day. When you start changing that on the inside, trust me, everything will start to rearrange itself in your life to reflect that. So, going back to knowing the truth for yourself and not having to go into the loops of overthinking and analysis paralysis and outsourcing your wisdom, I want to ask you one question, and I want you to take this into your journal this week. The next time you catch yourself saying, I don't know, whether it's I don't know what I want, I don't know what to do, I don't know the answer, the next time you catch that I don't know loop showing up in your brain, I want you to ask yourself this question. What if I did know? And if I did know, what would the answer be? And then notice what immediately comes up. What are the thoughts, the excuses, the fears, the worries that come up? But then keep sitting with it. What if I did know? And you will see it starts to bubble up. You already know. Maybe it's I need to leave this marriage. I need to take better care of my health. I need to prioritize friends. I need to create a morning routine that sets me up in the morning instead of going on my phone. You already know the answer. Write it down. And then part two, ask yourself, what would it cost me to act on this knowing? What would it cost me? Because there's a cost that you're avoiding. Maybe it's the cost of losing a friendship or a relationship. Maybe it's the cost of having to give up on something familiar or comforting, like laying in bed and scrolling on your phone every morning. There's always a cost that you have not been wanting or willing to pay that keeps you from connecting to what you know to be true. So get real with yourself and write down, what would this cost me? What would it cost me if I acted on this knowing? Because I want to tell you something that is going to change your life, okay? Here's what it is. The life you want is obvious. You just don't like the cost. And the work is not trying to figure it out. The work is not overthinking it and worrying about it and stressing about it. It's becoming the woman you need to be to have everything you want. And that comes at a cost. It comes at the cost of your old life. And it comes at the cost of the old version of yourself. And it comes at the cost of things that you have been clinging to because they feel familiar or comforting. It comes at the cost of your goddamn comfort zone. And you must be willing to pay the price to act on what you know you need to do in order to have the life you want and feel the way you want to feel and get the results you want to have and become the woman you need to be. You must be willing to get out of that comfort zone, to kill your comfort zone, and to start building a new comfort zone around being uncomfortable. That's right. Your new comfort zone is going to be being uncomfortable. I have been out of my comfort zone pretty much every day for the last 5 years. From the day I decided to choose selfish as my word for 2020 and go on my selfish year experiment. Since then, I have created a lifestyle around being uncomfortable. And you might be thinking like, oh, why the hell would you do that? You know why? Because it gets me everything I want. It makes me feel excited. Life becomes an adventure. Magical things happen, miracles happen, opportunities come to me. The podcast, the book deal, speaking on stages, six-figure income, travel, changing people's lives, changing my relationships, feeling happy and free, working less and making more. It's all because I made a choice to be selfish. And then from there, I realized, hang on a second, if I'm going to be selfish and be full of connection to self, I actually have to know myself. And guess what? I don't. I don't know myself. And that took me on a journey of figuring out how to know myself. Once you figure out how to know yourself and connect to your soul, all your wisdom, all your truth will start to open up. And then, yeah, then you got to take radical responsibility and act on it. And that's uncomfy. But at some point, you just get used to it. Now, yeah, like I said, it's my new comfort zone. I'm like, okay, this is uncomfortable, but I'm used to it. I'm not sabotaging because of it. I'm not freaking out. I'm not collapsing. I can hold that because I've expanded my capacity to be able to hold that discomfort. And that's when the magic happens. No risk, no magic, as I always say. So if you want the magical life, you've got to take the risks. And what I'm calling you into today is to take the scary risk of getting out of overthinking, connecting to what you already know, deciding you already know it, and then calling yourself into that woman who takes that knowledge and acts on it. Whether it's a small action or a big fucking action, doesn't matter. You start acting on it and you start building self-trust. And that changes everything. That changes that reflection in the mirror. And if that feels overwhelming to you, if that feels scary to you, if that feels exciting to you, if that feels like, okay, I get it, but how do I do that? That's why I'm here. And that's why I've created a program called The Breakthrough. You and me, 6 sessions, one issue. You bring one issue, whether it's I want to be a better communicator, or I want to stop freaking out when life goes sideways, or I want to be able to speak up for myself and stop hiding in my life, or I want to finally decide whether I need a divorce or not, or I want to make more money this year. Like you pick the thing. Either it's something you know you need to stop doing or something you want. Like it doesn't matter what it is. You bring one thing. You and me, 6 sessions, we get it handled. You get the breakthrough. We don't sit there analyzing your life for months. You don't have to sit there in therapy for 10 years and talk about this. We will get the breakthrough in 6 hours. And we find the thing you actually know, we move on it, and you get it handled, and you will get that shift. You will get that transformation, and your entire identity will change. And what I'm seeing in the breakthrough is incredible because using my methodology that I have been talking about, that I created last year, the Queen Code, neuro, mythic, somatic work. We get to the root of the problem. We get to the identity that is holding you back. We shift that identity and everything shifts. And that reflection in the mirror changes because you change. And yes, 6 hours, 6 sessions. That's less time than watching the new season of Love is Blind. Okay. We can get this handled and you will be fucking amazed at what can happen. So the breakthrough, if you want that, then all you have to do is email me, and I'll put my email in the show notes. Send me an email and say, hey, I'm interested in the breakthrough. I don't fucking know what it is, but I'm interested, and I will give you all the details. Okay, that's all you got to do is email me, and we will talk about it. Because this is how fast everything can change in your life. You don't have to sit there and watch more videos and read more books and think about it and worry about it and be in fear about it and be frustrated and feel like shit. No, this is the year of the fire horse, baby. We are getting shit handled, and I will do it for you in 6 hours. All right. If you're willing to invest 6 hours of your life to change the rest of your life, then the breakthrough is for you. I have a few spots open each month. So if you want one, then come on in and grab it, baby, because I want to take you into your breakthrough this year. All right, you guys, that's it for today. Thanks for hanging out with me. And as always, you can follow me on YouTube. I put every episode on YouTube now because, hey, video is cool too. And please subscribe to this podcast either on Spotify or Apple. Leave a review. It takes a few seconds, but it makes a huge difference. And share it with a friend who needs to hear this. Share it with your friend who is the overthinker, the one who's in analysis paralysis, the one who feels stuck. Share this episode with her. Let's spread the love. And I love you. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.